We're here with a podcast.
There's a little bit of an announcement going on right now that Chris is teeing up for us. So a lot of people we've noticed have been calling us the Drop the Disc podcast.
Correct.
And we've been saying for a while that we don't like having Disgusta in the name of the podcast.
Not at all. Plus, with big things happening in 2020 with, Nancy coming in and supporting us and whatnot, we're going to be rolling out some merch.
Some koozies.
And we don't want...
Maybe a shirt. I don't know.
Maybe a hat.
Maybe one hat.
Maybe some pens. I don't know. But we keychains. That'd be cool.
Swag.
But we don't want Discuss on any of that merch, so we are going to be formally called Drop the Disc.
We'll be the Drop the Disc podcast. Nothing else is changing. The logo will barely change.
And we're still Augusta millennials who give a crap. Here we are with Drop the Disc.
We're the Drop the Disc podcast, and our first official guest of this new podcast is...
Keith Edmonson.
Oh, that was very nice.
That was perfect.
He was preparing for that. Mentally, he was like, I'm going to say this really well.
Edmonson does not flow off the tongue, so you have to make sure. Yeah.
Neither does Naples.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're tied there. Yeah.
Actually, I've been struggling because I thought your name was spelled an O, but it's a U.
No, it is an O.
It is an O.
It is an O. Two O's.
Edmonson.
I thought it was Edmonson.
I think somebody told me that's the French spelling, but
okay.
It's an English heritage. I don't know.
Well,
whatever.
With us, Keith, I'm glad you're here with us, and we're going to also thank Nancy Powell for presenting sponsor for the year 2020. She's an awesome real estate associate broker.
Yep. And actually, so we didn't talk about our weekend. My last weekend, I spent moving into the house that I bought with Nancy.
That's awesome.
So
that's congratulations.
Gets results.
Yes. And actually, speaking of that, I'm glad you mentioned that. On Saturday morning, Nancy got with Audrey and I to talk about.
So you're getting ready?
We're already
loading up.
We're already loading up for our first time home buyer, and so she kind of just spread it all out. Here's what you need to do. Let's go ahead and check out different loans, and let's go ahead and. She was just spelling it out, and honestly. That's good with me because Audrey loves her, and she's holding Audrey's hand and doing all this because we've been renting for 5 years, and we're ready to buy a home,
which is not bad. So
it's not. But we're ready to go ahead and invest in a home and raise a family in the future, and so Nancy is the best decision we've done so far, which is awesome. So. Without further ado.
Yes. If you want to contact Nancy at opentoclose.team.
Yep.
Nancy at opentoclose.team. She's downtown. She's a broker, which it's actually longer than that.
It's
but
a
she's
real
a broker.
estate associate broker.
You're fantastic. And we want.
Well, she's called me and said, "Chris, you got it wrong. You got it wrong, man.
You gotta get it right.
You got to get it right. I have all these.
She's got credentials
that I've worked my butt off for.
People get upset. That's like in academia. My wife, when we first moved to town, she was not a professor of anatomy. She was, I believe it was an associate professor.
Oh.
And then you go from associate to assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to professor. It's like
whoa!
It's
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, man. With anybody where titles are a thing, make sure you get it right because it's like. So Dale Carnegie said, "Your name is the sweetest sound."
True.
So the idea is if you have credentials behind your name or in front of your name, that's part of your name. So the idea is your title is part of that, the sweetest sound. So that's really, really important for folks.
And so speaking of your title, let's jump to you, Keith.
Or can we just talk about where we are real quick?
Where are we?
We are in Partridge Inn Cigar Bar.
Beautiful.
Which is beautiful. I've never been in here. We've never been in here.
I've lived here. I've been to Partridge Inn 20 times and never knew this room existed.
No, I've seen wedding parties outside.
This would be a great spot to get ready for a wedding.
It would be, yeah.
Millie's groomsmen, you got a bar right here. You got a mini fridge. I'm sure, get the shots out.
Got the master's
trying to
art.
figure out if you made the best decision.
I don't know if you want to use the word intimate, but with guys, but
right. You got the leather couches.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally
it's chill. Is that the guy word for intimate?
I guess, yeah.
I wouldn't smoke a cigar in here, but you have a patio to do it right here. It's perfect. But anyways, and y'all are sipping on what?
We're sipping on Blanky Kong, BK.
Yep.
Which is the newest release, but it's a re-release from Savannah River Brewery.
It's a tropical IPA.
It's actually really good.
Is it good?
Yeah, man.
It's good.
So I'm more of a stout porter kind of guy, but I have developed an appreciation for IPAs. And so when it's some IPAs you drink and you're like, wow, that is the sourest thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Very bitter, yeah.
But if you drink something, you feel the hop, but then it's not killing you on the back end, what they call a soft finish.
Right.
This has a soft finish on the back end. So.
Love it.
Well, I'm glad we had you here for this.
That's, when you run a craft beer festival, you got to know these things.
That's true. And we are going to get to that because, funny
it's
story,
coming up.
This podcast was supposed to start on the beer festival last year, but we got carried away.
We indulged in this.
We'll have to do take two.
That would be great. We would love to.
We'll make it
anyways. So let's go ahead and jump right in.
Yeah. So Keith Edmonson, you are here. You live in Augusta.
Correct.
But you're not originally from Augusta.
I am not. Well, I moved here in 2008, 2009. So I've been here about 11 years.
Okay.
So I think after 10,
been here a minute
after 10,
or so.
you can call yourself a local. I think that's a lot after 10 years. But yeah. So my wife, she actually, we met, got married in Nashville, and less than a year later, she was offered a position with the medical school as a professor of anatomy. And I had actually grown up outside Atlanta area.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is like coming home. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
It's good.
True story. We were driving around looking at houses when we first got here, and we did rent for the first 2 years. And
Nothing wrong with it.
Exactly. And she could not understand why people put pine straw in their flower beds and things. That was just because she's from Memphis. They don't do that out that way. And anyway, that's kind of how that goes. So anyway, but yeah, so she'd never seen that before, and I was like, "What are you talking about? That's Georgia. That's how you landscape."
Yeah,
so,
that is how you landscape.
Anyway.
And in Arizona, you throw rocks everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all rocks, man. There's no grass. It's just rocks.
Yeah. So very cool. Awesome.
So you guys, I think this is worth knowing. You did something really cool in Tennessee that I didn't realize until recently.
No, I don't talk about it a lot. So what's funny? So my degree was in chemical engineering, and somehow I ended up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not what I thought you would say. I was going to wait for communications or
marketing.
Yeah.
Management.
Like that. Yeah.
Leadership.
Which is all that I do now. No, I love math and science. Like, if I had time, I would go geek out and hang out with the kids building robots for robot competitions and stuff. That's fun, but engineering is not, because a lot of times you're in a room by yourself.
True.
Which, if you're an extrovert, that environment's not a great thing. So anyway, back to the story. When I moved to Nashville, I worked in engineering for a couple of years, and roundabout, actually spent a little time in the music industry, that kind of stuff. Ended up got hired on with Dave Ramsey at Dave Ramsey. It's now called Dave Ramsey Solutions, I think. So I was literally, I think I was the 30th employee back in 2001, and then when I left 8 years later, I was one of 300 or something like that. And I think he's got close to 1,000 employees now.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Has to. That's very cool.
Yeah, and been all over the country with that. It's I worked, I did corporate training and things like that. So working with companies like Toyota and Nucor Steel. I got to go up to Bates College, which is in Maine, if you're not familiar. Super exclusive private school, and I actually did a financial coaching session for professors.
Wow.
It's weird when this guy that uber smart physics, department head tells you, I learned a lot today. You're like,
wow.
It makes you feel good about yourself when
definitely.
you can inspire bright people.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
Those of you that don't know, Keith is the guy that you started Augusta Sports Leagues.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will jump into that
guy.
later.
Yeah.
We will jump into that later, but I just wanted people to know that we're talking to the guy that does ASL.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I guess we should have announced
it's
that.
all good.
Well,
we'll get there.
Here we are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They get what they get.
Yeah.
It's a story.
Yeah. So, anyways, you did Nashville.
Right.
You're in Augusta.
Right.
And what do you want to ask?
What do we want to ask? Well, okay, so chemical engineering is what you studied.
Right.
How do you go from chemical engineering to the music industry to Dave Ramsey,
you're part of,
and then to Augusta?
ADHD helps. A lot of it has to do with anytime when you get out into the corporate world, whatever industry you're in, people are looking for soft skills development. Yeah. They want people that can speak publicly. So, if you start out as an engineer or a banker or, anything, whatever architect, whatever you decide to do in life, the ability to communicate with others and to lead a team, if you want to advance in any organization or if you want to be an entrepreneur and start your own business, you've got to have those skills. And I was very blessed in that when I got involved with Dave Ramsey, he was, you've heard him on the radio, you've read his books. He is big into personal development. And so I got exposed to Dale Carnegie training and sales training and leadership development, so much so that when I got out, when in my first year in Augusta, I actually worked for Dale Carnegie training. Okay. So out of it's a franchise thing, and so the franchise for Augusta was actually owned by a guy in Charleston. And so I worked for him for a while, but that was 2008, 2009, which is the recession.
Right.
No company is paying for training.
Right.
So that was, and then so I got back into doing financial coaching, eliminating debt, all that kind of stuff on my own for a little bit, and I was a part of the Young Professionals of Augusta.
That was my next question.
Yeah. So being involved as a young adult and engaged in the community, part of that was I was wanting to help companies, when I first started with Dale Carnegie here and making those relationships and looking for people that were looking for to grow inside their company or their business. I got involved with Young Professionals. Right. And y'all, you've had Sean Fram on here a couple of times. And Sean was actually one of my first friends in Augusta because I got involved in YPA pretty early.
And that was like the early days of the Young Professionals.
Yeah. They'd only been around, this was 2009. They'd probably only been around a couple of years too. Well, don't quote me. Sean would shoot me if I don't remember the actual founding date. But it was a lot of people, not many from Fort Gordon, not many from the medical community.
Really?
Yeah. I've been out. I've aged out, so I'm not allowed.
You're just a professional.
Yeah, they say I can come back anytime I want, but you feel weird hanging out with.
Oh, trust me,
with folks
I understand that.
When they're like, "Why is that guy here? He's old." No, I'm just kidding. But
I bet we would have fun with you anytime with Young Professionals. Always. I think you're underselling yourself a little bit.
I appreciate it. So, but that being said, I met a lot of people who were passionate about Augusta, and this is 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and I met a lot of people who were leaders in the community. So both of those were important, not only because when I was doing training, I was looking for people who were wanting to develop people, but it also gave me a sense of what was missing in Augusta. And so fast forward to 2012, I was I was not as passionate about financial coaching and things like that as I was. And I was like, one thing that Augusta does not have is they don't have a recreational sports community for adults.
It's true.
It's crazy. And I realized that anytime you're talking about building community, whatever it's around, whether it's a faith situation, whether it's an industry, a professional association, whether it is a sports team, building community is what makes people stick. Building community is what makes people develop roots. More so. Obviously, if you get married and you have kids, and you're like, or if you have family in the area, those things develop roots. But if you develop a community that you don't want to leave, that you're excited about, that you will fight people when they. That's one thing.
When they diss it.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, if you go to New York and you diss New York, you will get punched by a New Yorker.
The same thing. Were you listening to that episode with Deke Copenhagen?
I was not, but
because that is what he
says.
That
same thing.
He said that.
Yeah. You're in great company.
Yes. I may have heard. He may have spoke at YPA and said that. So there's a lot. But and I started seeing. So that was something that was missing. Well, I had played kickball in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so I called up Philip, who was the owner of Augusta Sports Leagues, and I said, "Hey, have you ever thought about franchising?" And he said, "Well, I haven't." He said, "But I've got a couple buddies of mine that are starting sports leagues in Greenville, and I'm actually going to be there next week. I said, hey, because I didn't know Philip. I played a couple in his kickball league, but I didn't know who he was. And fun fact, if you're going to go into business with somebody, it's a good idea to get to know them a little bit.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Fun fact,
Yeah. So write that one down as rule number 1 or rule number 2. Yeah. Rule number 2. So the idea is that I drove up there that next week, met with them, really liked them, really liked the guys from Greenville, and so now we're in January of 2013, and Augusta Sports Leagues is born.
So we're going to go into Augusta Sports Leagues in a second.
Okay.
I want to ask about one more thing.
Sure.
We're a very Augusta slanted show. But you met your wife in Nashville, is
Correct.
that right?
That is right.
So you guys moved to Augusta in 2008?
Yeah.
I want to talk.
2009.
Talk to us about your first impression of the city. Like, you're coming here. What part of the city did you move to? You can be vague.
No, it's fine. We actually we rented a house off of Walton Way.
Okay.
So down in that area was a little
Like close
ranch house,
close to AU or
a little bit
upper
farther.
end?
It was closer
Augusta?
closer to First Baptist.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That way, as you hit when it turns into Walton Way Extension.
Yeah.
So and we lived there for 2 years, and it was really convenient for me. Chattanooga. So I went to high school. I was born in Chattanooga, moved to Atlanta, moved back to Chattanooga for high school.
Okay.
And so Augusta and Chattanooga have a lot of parallels.
They do.
River towns. Chattanooga's got more mountains and a little bit of whitewater.
And they have a sweet walking bridge.
There you go. Yeah.
That would be great.
We're working on
have.
this. Is a good idea. So
yes.
True story. In the 90s, when I was in high school in Chattanooga, it was a burnout husk of a town.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew it. And so come late 90s, early 2000s, like, the city just did all these things. They built the aquarium, then they built another aquarium. They built 20 miles of walking trails along the river.
Right.
And so paralleling that to here, I always said, well, Augusta's about 10 years behind Chattanooga. But so you said first impressions. I think when I got to Augusta, I was like, oh, this is just like Chattanooga when I was in high school, meaning
wow,
there's a lot going there. I think there's a lot that could happen here, but it's going to take some people,
right?
Really working hard.
Yeah.
And that's where, and I could save that for later, but I really think, so I know for a fact there have been delegations from around the world that have gone to Chattanooga to look at it as a model city. Outside Magazine has listed Chattanooga as a top 10 place to live for the last 15, 20 years. I truly believe Augusta has that same potential. And we can, when we talk a little bit later on in the show, we can talk about it. I don't want to steal
No, it's
the thunder
okay.
there.
No.
But as far as first impressions, I do. I think I was excited about the potential of living in Augusta. Me with an entrepreneurial mindset, I thought, oh, there's all this stuff that could happen. What was really funny was that, they were just forming a hockey team. So
was that the Lynx or was that the River Hawks?
That was, I think it was the Lynx. The Lynx were going out. This was the River Hawks coming in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the River Hawks, and then there was word of a arena football team.
Yeah, I remember
I've
that.
heard
Pony
that.
logo.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, I don't like arena football just because the whole idea of punting it into a net and then having to catch it and then turn around and run back.
Get destroyed.
No, it's just, and for a while, Nashville, I don't know, they may still have an arena football team, but I went to several games when I lived there. I like hockey better, but that's just me. Yeah, man. So that works out. The whole idea of punting and having to catch it out of a net.
I've actually never seen an arena football.
Really?
It's really cool to watch on TV.
I was gonna say there's YouTube.
They crash into the
Check
stands.
it out. Yeah.
It's cool.
They do. Yeah, there's a little bit more
intense.
engagement because you have less area, less field space.
I mean, there's probably a foot between the players and the stands.
Yeah. What cracked me up is a lot of the arena football teams had a hot tub right next to the field, and so the whole idea was, hey, look, this is cool. You can come and hang out in a hot tub. But what you saw was that people would hang out in the hot tub for like 15, 20 minutes, and then they'd be like, okay, either A, they're uncomfortable with everybody looking at them, or B, they're like, it's too hot, I'm going to go back to the suite.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. So they were. I don't think that idea went over real well. So anyway,
that's one of those that you probably don't want to see all the way through.
No. Yeah.
So we're going to take a break real quick.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Savannah River Brewery a little bit more.
Yeah, and they got some events coming up too.
They've got some stuff.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about all the stuff I've been making Keith wait to talk about.
There we go.
Yeah, the fun part. Yeah.
The fun part.
So, Savannah River Brewery, friends of the show.
Friends of the show. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Great beer.
Yeah.
Drinking some right now, Blanca Kong. They their 3rd year anniversary is coming up.
Isn't that crazy? You look back and you go, oh my gosh, I remember when they moved in.
It's almost like it was yesterday, but then it's almost like it was also like 10 years ago. Like I can't remember having a brewery.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I can.
I can,
Okay.
I guess.
I can remember that.
I can't imagine it.
Right.
I guess,
yeah.
right?
We're totally different with breweries now, but it is going to be the weekend of Valentine's. So
there you go.
The Valentine's Day, they are having a dinner catered by Caterworks, and if you were at the New Year's Eve bash, it was incredible. The food was great.
Caterworks just brings it.
They're awesome.
They're at another level for catering.
Because sometimes you go for catering and it's like rubber chicken and
exactly
and overcooked vegetables.
This guy, he's got it going on, and it mixes very well with the brewery scene.
And that is Caterworks with a K.
Right.
And
the works with an E.
There you go. Yeah.
It's not spelled right at all.
There's a lot going on.
In fact, he did not do spell check.
Yeah,
but
right.
Anyways, the next day which is February 15th.
That's the party.
That is the 3rd anniversary that they're having.
That's a great idea.
So,
sweet. Yeah. Are there tickets? Do people buy tickets?
People do buy tickets. They can go online,
tickets.
check it out. But don't quote me on that.
But don't quote him.
I don't
buy
have
some
any.
tickets.
This is all from memory, people. This is pretty good.
Chris is usually reading for this.
This Thursday, we have a cornhole league starting at Savannah River Brewery.
This just in. Augusta Sports Leagues.
Well, what's funny, we actually posted today. We only have 2 competitive league spots. And then what's funny is I only got a few teams signed up for social cornhole. It's like if I play cornhole, it's got to be competitive. But having it at the brewery, having it at Savannah River Brewing is awesome because it's indoors. So if it's raining, if it's cold, if it's hot,
it's true.
Yeah.
We're inside. So
perfect.
It doesn't matter. And
plus there's beer.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of space.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So and you don't tear up the cornhole bags on that nice.
Yeah. Do the winners get anything for the tournament?
They do. We usually do swag and gift cards like they play the next season free.
Nice.
And they get some sort of glassware or gift cards or something.
I've played cornhole for less.
Seriously,
a lot less.
If competitive is a little intimidating, social.
Are you good at cornhole?
I used to be. I used to sling that corn.
So we can't have a drop the disc team.
We could be all right.
I got to go all the way.
Yeah, we'll go all the way. I believe in us.
Okay. Anyways,
maybe you should come out and check out Thursday. And
we're gonna get destroyed.
Do the social round.
Try to start with social.
Watch, we're gonna talk crap and then give is there a mercy rule in cornhole?
There is not, unfortunately.
Okay.
I've watched people get beat like 1 point. They did let them have 1 point to 20. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And if you don't want to do the brewery on Valentine's Day, there is a really sweet play that the Augusta players are putting on. Mamma Mia. Bring that in there.
The weekend after Valentine's Day.
The weekend after Valentine's.
You wouldn't think you'd enjoy that kind of stuff, and then you're like, even if you're like not an ABBA fan, but then you watch it and you're like, this is awesome.
And on top of that, you might know the people that are acting.
Yeah.
There are people that have a history of acting at some point in their life or don't, but they don't do that for a living. Right. They're doing it on their own time, which is passionate about it. They are. Yeah. And Scott Seal's going to put on a heck of a show. We're actually going to be going on at the Saturday showing, and we'll make sure to tell you all about it. But
my girlfriend's favorite play is Mamma Mia, so she actually listens to Mamma Mia.
You're the man right now.
Yeah, in her car driving on the highway, Mamma Mia soundtrack.
Wow, you need to get her a different soundtrack.
Right.
Have her mix it up a little bit.
I was just going to throw in some Phantom of the Opera, maybe.
Anyways, so If you don't have anything, I'm ready.
good.
I'm ready to hit it.
Let's go into Augusta Sports Leagues.
Yeah.
So Keith, you started Augusta Sports Leagues.
I did.
And what is Augusta Sports Leagues?
So it's so funny. There's like a 2-page definition. But we'll go with the short form.
Did you bring it? Should we?
I'm
read it?
guessing it's Augusta.
Yes.
Sports
and leagues.
Leagues.
Okay. All right.
No, it's the idea.
But
is,
with a craft
Right.
beer festival.
Exactly. No, the idea is we
true.
do sports and events
Yeah.
that cater to adults with the idea of forming a stronger community.
Yeah.
That's it, man. So all we do, I could say we could transpose this into any kind of passion or what's the word when you I just blanked out, when you have something, your hobby.
Yeah.
You transform it into any hobby or whatever. But the idea of building community, because that's where people stick around.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about playing kickball, but it's the idea of having a good time playing kickball and then hanging out afterwards.
Yes.
We do have sponsored bars and restaurants, so they have an opportunity to go hang out after the fact. And that's, when you're playing your sport, you're focused there.
Right.
But if you go hang out afterwards, that's where you build the relationships. That's where you build the friendships. True story, I have had 5 marriages that have occurred.
Not yours,
Not
other
mine,
people's.
not mine, but 5 marriages of people who met while playing sports in
That's
Augusta
awesome.
Sports Leagues. Yeah, man. So
That's really cool.
their
Do
wedding,
you do the weddings if they meet at Augusta Sports Leagues?
Man, half the time I don't even know they've happened. Like, it's like, hey,
Thanks, dude. But
so and so got married, and they met playing kickball or what, and I'm like, oh, and I usually will email them and say, hey, here's my wedding present is free registration for the next season or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's what we've been around long enough. It's been cool to see folks get married and have kids, and there's a cycle, man, where they'll disappear. Eventually, I know I'm going to lose them.
Yeah.
Because when you have kids, once they hit 5 or 6, a lot of parents will go full tilt into their kids' activities.
Right.
And they don't take any time for themselves, which, fun story, in the north, in northern United States, they still take 1 day a week to go play sports or do something for themselves. But in the South, I don't know, culturally, it's like if I do something for myself, I'm a bad parent. So I've been trying to change the culture to say, hey, it's okay. We run a family-friendly league, so your kids are not going to be exposed to stuff you don't want them exposed to. Come out and have a good time. Put them in the dugout. That'll be the playpen. We can put up a chalk gate if we need to, and come out and have fun. And I think for some parents, they use that as an excuse because they're like, oh, I'm not in shape, or oh, I'll look foolish, or I'll just focus on my kid. But truth be told, you still need to have a day for yourself. Right. You still need to have a day. And maybe that's your husband plays kickball on Sunday and you play kickball on Thursday. I don't know. But
I've got we're talking, kickball is a great example.
Yeah.
But what other kind of sports? I do want to know if y'all do ping pong. Do y'all do ping pong?
You know what? We haven't.
Because I know someone that could kick anybody's ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For real.
So what's funny is we'll do
Derek May.
Yeah, we'll do these one-offs. Like we did a bubble soccer tournament.
Okay.
Just for fun. We had 7 teams show up, and it was a day in late May, so it was hot, man. It was like low 80s. Whew. Yeah, and that plastic that's around you or whatever, it
there's not a fan in those.
No,
things,
and you got
not like the mascots.
No. The mascots have got electrical fans and stuff, or solar powered fans. Yeah. This did not. So they were like, oh, do it when it's a little cooler. And then I tried to do it when it's cooler, and they're like, oh, we've already done that. So there are one-offs that are like fads. I got one. Yeah. There's an archery. It's like paintball, but you use archery.
I've seen that. I've seen a YouTube video of that.
People will send me that stuff. They're like, "Hey, let's do this." There's one, my favorite. It's like a giant dartboard, but you actually kick a soccer ball at it.
I've seen that. That was fun.
And it's Velcro. And so I had people say, "Oh," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, let me get the $5,000 together to buy the equipment, whatever." Yeah. So so we started. In 2013, we started with kickball and sand volleyball. Okay. Weren't being offered anywhere in Augusta. Right. So I was like, hey, I'm going to start here. And then, we added flag football. Yeah. And we added soccer. And we added basketball. And we added indoor volleyball. And then we added dodgeball.
That's a lot of sports.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like when I was in college. That's like the list of intramurals you could do. That's a lot of stuff.
At the last count, I think I had 11 sports with 13 divisions because we do co-ed for some and men's for others.
Yeah.
Because some guys just don't play nice. So
Right.
you have to give them their own
Sometimes
league.
flag football, there's a quotation mark around flag.
There is. Well, you know what's funny is that as you become an adult, I'm sorry, but you lose some coordination. And so I've seen
that probably makes it more violent.
some of these big guys, they just fall over on these little 95 pound girls on accident because they just don't have control of where they're headed. And but the women are super tough,
right?
So they'll get up and shake it off, but it's like, why did you just do that? So, no, but,
so you have right now you have 11 sports.
Not that many. Wintertime we
so
shut
seasons.
down. Yeah, seasons. So we run 4 seasons.
Okay.
So, and with that, we will sprinkle in some tournaments. So one of the goals is we've done a grass volleyball tournament here. And
nice.
So I'm a member of the Augusta Sports Council, not to be confused.
Right. Not to be confused.
Yeah. So
that's Mr. Brian Graham, friend of the show.
Brian and I are friends, and he and I have actually been talking because we want to. They're fabulous in the fact that they have resources,
right?
So that when we want to work, and the idea of bringing more people to Augusta and doing those. So we do a charity kickball tournament in December called Jingle Balls.
Nice.
So, it's awesome, dude, and it's a fundraiser actually for the Ronald McDonald House and Toys for Tots. So
I actually remember seeing that.
So we posted that. So we want to grow that into a regional event and attract people. Flag football is probably going to be like a Thanksgiving, probably the weekend before. Grass volleyball, spring, something like that. And the idea of part of our mantra is bringing people to the Augusta area, and Augusta Sports Council is working.
That's
to help
a good partner to have.
I'm hoping
they have
and then
the resources.
And then the idea of doing some festivals.
I want to talk about the craft beer festival. So you put on the craft beer festival,
correct?
Not the only one, but a pretty big one at SRP Park.
We do. The Green Jackets have been fabulous partners. This will be year 5,
and so you have put this on.
Annual.
You put this on from the beginning.
I will say that I went to the second one.
Okay.
And I've been to every single one since.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot. We were at Lake. What was funny? True story. I had some business partners. It's now just me from some of the sports leagues that I work with, and they were doing craft beer festivals in their respective cities. And so they said, Keith, let's do one here. And I'm like, why don't we wait till the new stadium's built? Yeah. And they're like, no, let's just get off the ground. And we did. And those true story, like year 1, I only allotted 1,000 people. I'm like, we're doing this. Sold out on Friday night before the event at like 11:30. We still have like 200 people show up the next day that I had to turn away because I'm like, I don't have beer for you. I don't have.
Geez.
We're not I will say this, as an organizer, you get kind of frustrated because if I'm in Atlanta, an event is going to sell out. They
a month
know,
in advance.
Yeah, buy your tickets early. In Augusta, they're not used to events selling out. They're not used to that type of planning, and so they're like, "Oh, I'll just buy the week of."
Yep.
And
buy at the door.
Yeah, they're okay with spending an extra $10, $20, but and I will tell you this from an event planning. We've got to fund this. A lot of times, this stuff comes out of our own pocket if you don't have enough sponsors.
Right.
So it's a gamble, So when people go, "Oh, wow, that event was great," you got to realize we've got to plan months in advance, and so I have to temper my responses and say, "Okay, I really want 2,000 people there, but I can't commit resources for 2,000." So I'm telling you this: if you really want to support events in Augusta, buy early. Go ahead. And you're like, well, what happens if it rains out? A lot of times they will have a policy in place.
But see, now it's SRP Park.
Yeah. It's
underneath. You're good now.
60-70% is covered. So, we're prepared for rain. If it snows, that might be, but in April, I think we're safe.
It's pretty tough. Pretty tough.
Yeah.
So how big of a gamble was it for you to start this craft beer festival?
Well, I actually used funding from Augusta Sports Leagues. So I didn't pay myself that January, February, and just kind of lived off my wife, which was very gracious of her. But the idea is you put that $10,000, $20,000 aside. Those are just base costs. That's what's funny for people that don't understand a festival. just a basic 2,000 person festival is going to run you 20 to 30 grand, and as you're collecting money, and when you use sites like Eventbrite and things, they don't give you any of your money until 2 weeks after the event.
Wow! So that's how they make money.
Yeah,
They're able to hold on to that
they
money.
hold on to from let's say if tickets for the beer festival go on sale this week. They will
plug tickets for the beer festival go on sale this week. How much will they be?
That wasn't just an example.
No,
it's
that's
happening.
How much will they be? How much will they be?
Gosh, I have to think.
We'll post it. We'll post it.
Please do.
Okay.
And this will be the lowest price, and then it'll go up to early bird pricing, which is
If you buy in advance, you get a lower price.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Seriously, and it's going to be a good time because we've been doing this. Y'all,
when we were here last year,
it's fun.
It was. I think it was the best it's ever been, and it could have been the new venue was brightened it up, but the beers that there were.
It was great.
We worked really, really hard, and that's one of the things I want to do this year. I love the guys at the James Brown Arena and all they do for Augusta. So they do their craft beer festival in August,
and I also went to that one.
Which great event, fabulous event. What's cool about it is because we actually can play off each other. In that I get to doing mine in the spring, we kind of showcase what's coming in the summer.
Yeah.
Right.
And doing theirs in the late summer, early fall, they can showcase the fall and winter.
Yeah, which in the beer world is pretty different.
Yeah, no, seriously. And you've got all these, with craft beer breweries and whatnot, they want to show off their newest stuff.
Correct.
And also because if you ever get into alcohol distribution and things like that, it's so weird, the laws that are and state by state and things like that. And so the fact that SRP Park is in South Carolina and the James Brown Arena is in Georgia, we each have access to things that you can't get.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's really cool. Weird. Sometimes you get a little frustrated at
sure.
And I will tell you, if you ever want to get into event organization, I'll be happy to run a master class.
Yeah.
But the biggest challenge you have is some of the laws and things you don't know about, and it's one of those things where when you hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan of when you talk about leadership training and entrepreneurism and things. Man, it's all about getting around the obstacles. Because if you're one of those people that when you hit something you just give up,
right,
and that will not work in Augusta. If you want Augusta to be the best place it can be, when somebody tells you no, you've got to figure out a way to get around that or under it or over it or whatever. And if they or another alternative. I think for anybody that aspires to do things in Augusta, like anywhere. It's always funny to me, if you ever go to Nashville, they have that huge convention center. If you look at it from the sky, it looks kind of like a piano and guitar and all that mixed together. They could not get financing from banks in Nashville. The two guys that put that together had to go outside of Nashville to get financing for that. So the whole idea is sometimes, when you want to make something happen, you've got to find a way around it. Yeah. So that was a lot. So
that was beautiful.
The goal 6 tournament. We run the leagues. I am looking for dodgeball teams, and this is Nerf dodgeball. So for any of you that freak out and remember this painful memory of breaking your nose as a kid, that's not what this is.
Right.
I've got girls that love playing. It's more aerobic.
Okay.
So if you're a runner or a dodger or whatever, the idea is that it's a lot of fun. And believe it or not, dodgeball across the United States, because I'm part of an industry. Believe it or not, there is a social sports industry association, and we talk. I talk to guys from Chicago and Houston and Atlanta, and there are patterns. And what's weird is we see dodgeball dying. The movie Dodgeball was great, and they used those big, heavy, hard rubber balls that do hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's just not as popular anymore.
Right.
New England, because it's an indoor thing, more so because when it gets super cold or super hot. But here, not so much, but it's a fear factor. I'll give you a great example. Several years ago, I tried to do a slip and slide kickball tournament. You would think that I got a carpet sponsor to put carpet underneath the slip and slide so it was softer. I used the kiddie pools with rubber sides, not the hard plastic that you see the little kids playing in. So I was doing all this safety stuff and to make it fun. So I had one team sign up. And I was like, and this is August. I'm thinking, why would you not want to come out and play slip and slide?
They were scared they'd get hurt?
Scared they'd get hurt. I'm like, what are you? You're 25? You're acting like you're 55? You know? And but the idea is they don't know what they don't know. So a lot of people have a preconceived notion of what something is. And if as an event organizer or as a planner, if you don't communicate the differences or what you've done to make this a fun event, I had guys at Fort Gordon that thought the craft beer festival, that ticket price was just to get in the door, and then you still had to buy your beer.
Yeah, and that is something, unless you actually go. My first beer festival was at the Masquerade in Atlanta.
Okay.
And that's where I experienced, and I thought I was buying this ticket and gonna then buy a glass and then maybe only get 7 or 10 drink tickets with it. But no, my world was opened up to a whole new world.
When you get to taste 40 or 50 beers on that one ticket. That's the biggest challenge anytime you're organizing anything, whether it's a sports leagues, whether it's a festival. It's explaining to people because you especially for this is year 5 for me.
Right.
So I know what's going on, but I've got to realize that maybe it's a new soldier at Fort Gordon, maybe it's a guy that's just signed on for cyber classes with. You know, maybe they just moved here for whatever, for med school at AU. They don't necessarily know what, and a lot of those things I call them beer gardens. You know, you buy your ticket, you pay for your wristband, maybe you get a couple beers out of the deal, and then you have to buy all your food and beverage after that.
Yeah.
The idea, so the idea of, I realized that was, so when year 3 was our first year at SRP Park. Year 4, people don't usually share this, but I sold about 200 less tickets than the year before. You hate to do that because you're planning on growing an event, not going backwards. But I realized it was my fault in the fact that I didn't explain what that was. And so people get confused. You know, everybody starts calling themselves a beer festival or a craft beer festival when really it's a beer garden. Or it's an event with a beer garden attached or whatever. And so when you communicate to folks, just like y'all are doing with the podcast, you've got to understand there are people out there that have no clue what you're talking about. So you've got to
when it comes closer, or even starting in February, we'll start talking about it.
Man.
Getting it pumped up for sure.
You'll have to send us updates. We'll let people know about tickets because they can see us there.
Before we ask our final, before we get to that, I do have some more questions that we haven't touched on about ASL. What's the average cost, and where do you sign up?
Chris with the good questions.
So everything is online.
Okay. Well, it's because I'm interested.
Yeah. He is not. I looked Chris up today. He's not played with me yet.
No.
So I can do that. I have a database. So with that, Augusta Sports with an S on the end, Leagues with an S on the end, .com. So
Augusta Sports Leagues.
Literally type in adult sports and I'm come up on the first 8.
Okay.
In Augusta.
That's
Augusta
good.
Sports on the first 8. Anyway, so with that being said, you click on play, it'll show you all the leagues that we've got upcoming, all the ones that are going on. If you don't see something, I have not offered golf yet.
I was going to ask you about that, but I figured it'd have a long story.
Golf is offered in a lot of places. I don't want to muddy the waters. One of the cool things about being part of a national association, we actually get sponsorship deals. So that they're building a Top Golf here.
Yeah, that's true.
Top Golf did a sponsorship deal with our association. And so any place that had a Top Golf, they did a Top Golf night.
That's cool.
Oh, it was awesome. So
you're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
We did my leagues. We did a Slim Jim promotion, and we actually got tons of free Slim Jims. So we were giving them out. It was not to be called. It was a meat stick, not to be confused with turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to make sure that was in the advertising. But it,
100% meat.
The idea of being part of that association is I get to do special stuff that maybe playing in a backyard pickup flag football game or a pickup softball game you don't get. And you get. We've got restaurant sponsors that we love.
So you get perks.
Yeah.
And is it like a membership or is it a
free to join,
sign up?
Free to join.
Okay.
So and then if you decide to play a sport, then there is a registration fee.
Okay.
That you go to the website for, and average, I keep mine low. Like if you were to play kickball in Atlanta or even Greenville, you're paying $75. I mean, you go up to Toronto, you're paying $150 US to play.
It's like $200 Canadian.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm like, but it's Toronto. So, but here we're running somewhere between 40 and 55. You know, I do charge, if you're signing up as an individual, I'm going to charge you a little bit more. I'm going to give you a shirt. So you're going to get a jersey for your team. It takes time to place people. Like a lot of times I have enough people to form a full team of free agents. We call it individuals.
Okay, so you mean individuals. You mean you're signing up as a free agent.
Yeah,
you don't have a team. You're just wanting to be placed somewhere.
I've met more people that have just moved to Augusta. Maybe they played softball where they were from or kickball. They loved playing. They're like, I don't know anybody. Hey, I'll play kickball. And I've had some folks that have said, I've met my best friends in Augusta, and it came off that first team. Now I've had some folks that have bad experiences, and we're working to fix that.
Yeah.
So there's all these tools we have in place to help individuals connect on the team they're playing on. You know, I usually tell them you're not going to win the championship being put on a free agent team. Yeah. You know, that's not. I had a sand volleyball team that actually did that, but they were all uber athletes and
it was lucky.
But so most of the time they're just going to be getting to know each other. They're not going to have any kind of rhythm as a team, and just have fun.
Yeah.
So people sign up as teams and go in.
Yeah. That's the kicker, is that you don't have to have your team fully formed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I usually tell people, register your team, go out, and I've had to teach some guys, you don't go into the gym, you see a girl, and you're like, oh, I need her for my kickball team, and go up and go, hey, come play kickball with us. You're like, oh, it must be a pickup line. You have to not be creepy about it. You have to say, hey, I play with Augusta Sports Leagues.
Right.
I've got a kickball team. We've got a spot for a couple girls. We don't know any. Would you like to play with us?
Yeah.
So you get free dating advice.
Seriously, I'm trying to. There's a right way and a wrong way to approach it. And
that's undersold. That's
I
undersold.
like some of those stories,
right?
Honestly.
Seriously, I could write a book, but we've only got a few minutes. Yeah.
So I've got one more question for you. Do you play any sports? And if so, what's your favorite?
I do. So my favorite is sand volleyball. I used to skip class in college to play sand volleyball.
I can see you getting really aggressive at sand volleyball.
Yeah, I'm competitive. That's why I usually don't play in my leagues, because people get offended. They're like, "Oh, will you pay the ref? You pay the refs, fees or whatever. So he's going to listen to what you say." I will play a Sunday kickball league. They're still competitive there, but a lot of times, like the free agents, they'll need a captain. So I'll go in and be their captain or whatever. And it's fun getting to know people.
Yeah.
When we move to the area. I've played in my soccer league once or twice, because I played soccer growing up, and that was passionate. Okay. Everything else I have to ref. So it's kind of hard to play when you're, I have a ref call out.
Yeah.
I've had refs that have gotten into,
any situation you could imagine.
Yeah. From car wrecks as on their way to ref to hey, my wife just had a baby to that kind of thing. So
you can't talk yourself out of that.
And is it volunteer-based refs, or
I pay them?
Okay.
Pay them. So that's why people are always so surprised the fact that we only charge $40-$50 to play, because we are paying our refs. I try to keep my margins low. To that effect, just because I know I want people to get out. When people ask what's your biggest competitor, it's not the county-run softball league or whatever. It's Netflix.
Yeah.
And my point is I want to get you off the couch. You can binge Netflix on the weekend.
Right.
But on a Tuesday night, come out and play softball. On a Thursday night, come out and play kickball with us.
I'm ready to play some softball.
Seriously, man.
Seriously.
We run
winter sports.
I mean, you won't be on my team.
Dude,
That's fair. Be a free agent.
It is literally 70 degrees outside right now.
It's terrible.
It's terrible, but it's nice.
But even in the wintertime, 40s, 50s, put on a long sleeve shirt. You'll be fine. Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's great.
So that brings us to Chris, do we need to talk about anything else?
I think we need to get this on the road, because you're over here yawning. And
have
at 8 p.m. we have to watch the LSU Clemson game.
Which
you're not going to make it.
Oh, I'm going to make it.
Are you going to make it?
I'm going to make it.
He's over here drinking water, hydrating.
I'm hydrating. I'm getting my body ready.
Getting ready for something.
my 3-year-old niece. So I have no dog in this fight, but what's funny is Tennessee Tech, my alma mater, their colors are purple and gold. So
terrible.
You do have a dog in this fight.
I will wear a purple and gold jacket, and people in the airport will go, "Oh, LSU." I'm like, "No, Tennessee Tech." But
close enough.
I will say that I am leaning for the SEC route.
So let's do this real quick. Let's do picks. Since this will air after, this is going to air after the game, so everybody's going to know how bad we are immediately.
I'll go ahead and go. I've been thinking about this. I will say this is the first time I've seen a national championship where Vegas is leaning one way and ESPN predicts is leaning another way.
Right.
I've never seen that.
Odd. Well, unless they know something ESPN doesn't.
Well,
listen. If I'm counting on somebody knowing more, it's Vegas. Vegas knows.
They've been
more.
on point all year. It's scary. But anyways, ESPN has Clemson winning
55%.
Yeah, and Vegas has LSU winning
by 7. By 7.
And I think this is my theory, real quick. ESPN wants to get bigger ratings, so they're going to go against Vegas because it's airing on ESPN. That's my whole thing.
And they're supposed to be the experts.
Yeah,
right. So I am going with Trevor Lawrence not knowing what to do against LSU defense.
All right. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not going to come close. It's going to be at least 7 points, maybe even 10.
All right. LSU by 10. That's Chris.
That's go Tigers with
an X.
EAUX.
So the SEC is the best conference in the world. I'll just say that right there, but at least in the nation. That being said, I'm not a big LSU fan. My wife is an Auburn alum, and so I have been to an Auburn LSU game where I got stuff thrown at me.
I bet you did.
Because you wore the Tennessee Tech.
Yeah. We were. No. Actually, this one I was wearing an Auburn shirt.
Oh, okay.
It was probably in Baton Rouge.
Happy wife, happy life. I was in Baton Rouge, and so they threw stuff at me, and so I have mixed feelings. But I'm gonna go. I'm Clemson, awesome town. I have an aunt who lived there, big Clemson supporter. Lots of Clemson fans in Augusta.
There are
more than
unfortunately.
LSU fans.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm sorry. I'm gonna say LSU by 10. I really do think.
All right.
Yeah. What are you thinking, David?
It's LSU by 21.
Really?
Nice.
Joe Burrow's going to score a touchdown every time he touches the ball. I mean, it's just going to happen.
I am hoping for a good game though.
I'm hoping for a blowout, but a good game would be all right too. So Keith, we have one more piece of serious business to attend to. So we have one question that we ask everybody, and with our rebrand, the question is not going to change at all.
Right.
So, did I ask it last time? Did you?
I'll ask it. So Keith, what is dropping the diss from dissing Augusta? What does that mean to you?
I've got a 2-part answer.
We're ready to listen.
All right, I got my stopwatch.
Part 1, actually, y'all time me. Part 1, so Nadia Butler was the president of ESI. ESI sponsored the Ironman the first couple of years. They've sold, I think it's Intermedics now. She's not involved, but Nadia Butler spoke to YPA, and she said, Augusta is like a teenager. Lots of potential, but low self-esteem. And I've seen that from people, business leaders, government leaders. There's this attitude of we're not good enough, or we shouldn't go big. That go big, go home doesn't apply.
Stay home.
To give you an example, they build a 4-story building when they should build a 7. I deal with, we can't find field space anywhere. North Augusta, Richmond County, Columbia County, they're all behind the curve, and the funds aren't there to build more space or build more fields. Right now they're like, it's all we can do to keep up with the number. I heard a number that from fall 2019 or 2018 to fall 2019, they had 200 more kids registered for youth sports in Columbia County. That's
incredible.
That kind of growth. And so
Mm.
what happens here in Augusta is that they don't plan ahead. Right now they're building a new facility, the medical facility that's in between the dental school and the med school.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no parking. Nobody said, hey, I know we don't have the money for a parking deck, but let's just let them figure out where they're going to park. And it's parking. Yeah, I get it. It's not sexy, but the idea is find that money, figure it out, come up with a solution. Don't just say we're going to cut the top 2 floors off, or we're not going to build this because we're not expecting growth. When you a city will rise to its level of expectation. A child will rise to their level. So if you assume a child is not going to excel academically or physically or whatever, they will rise to meet that. So the same way, and I say this to anybody in Augusta, so part one of that is if you don't believe in the potential and you don't actively plan and execute for it, that means building 6 stories even though the current need is only 4. The idea is to build more,
right.
And when you're talking dollars and cents, people I know in Augusta are much more conservative.
Right.
It's just the nature of a town of 500,000 versus a town of 4 million.
And we're very traditional, historic town.
Yeah. And so and you look at things historically, and so this is part 2. You brought that in. So I understand people get frustrated. You have a bunch of soldiers move in, and 2 years later they're gone, and more soldiers move in, and you have 10,000 people are hired out at the Savannah River nuclear site, and 3 years later they let go 5,000.
Right.
And so the idea is there's this expectation with, why do I want to go the extra mile when you're just going to leave me?
Right.
And so I just have to say that I love Field of Dreams. It's one of my favorite movies. Build it and it will come, and you've got to have the faith. My faith is very important to me. And if you don't live by a faith, yes, you get burned. What is it? Mother Teresa said, love people, but they'll spit in your face. Love them anyway.
Yeah.
The idea, and that is a paraphrase. She was much more eloquent with what she
I'm
said.
sure.
But yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know personally, but I'm sure.
It's a great quote. Look it up. Mother Teresa quotes. There's a lot of them. But anyway, the idea is, so Augusta may crap on you, or you may, your idea may fail. Build it anyway.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at that kind of stuff, I feel like that part 2, historically, we've waited. I watched Nashville back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They knew that millennial wave was coming, and they started building apartment complexes, high-rise apartment complexes. And when it was built, millennials moved in. And Music City is sexy, but it's actually medical city. There's more medical jobs in Nashville than the entertainment industry or tourism industry ever thought about.
Wow.
Same way with Augusta. I mean, Augusta is the medical hub of Georgia, and for some, the Southeast. And so the idea is building these things. People are going to come. We just have to have the faith, and you have to build it as a team. Quick story, and I told this to Deke. He may have shared it. I don't know. But being from Chattanooga, in order for them to get the Volkswagen plant, that was a 27-county, 3-state effort to attract Volkswagen to build a plant that was going to employ 5,000 to 6,000 people in it. If Augusta wants to do stuff like that, they got to work with Aiken. They got to work with Columbia County. Is not an island of itself. They've got to work with Augusta. It is a team effort, and this us versus them, this side of the river versus that side of the river, white versus black, does not matter. And for most millennials, they don't care about those dividing lines that people, us versus them, should not exist in a community where you want things to grow.
Exactly.
Bottom line, and get off your butt, man. Quit sitting on your rocket chair.
ASL right here.
Come play sports.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, we got. Thank you so much for joining us today. We had Keith Edmonson.
Yeah.
He's an event planner. He's a sports guy. He worked for Dave Ramsey. He does personal training. He knows Mother Teresa quotes.
There you go.
And I'm leaving stuff out.
We do corporate training. Like, I'll go in and do communications class, or if you've got a department head that needs public speaking training.
What's the best way to get in contact with you, Keith?
The best way, just do Keith, Keith, at playasl.com.
Easy.
Perfect.
Well, Keith, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I wish y'all only best of luck moving forward.
Thank you so much.